Before we get started with the Asgard World Tour and all the changes that have happened throughout my 10-year-old Minecraft map, I have some sad news. James Carter, the voice actor of famous Pokemon characters like Professor Oak, Gary Oak, and James from Team Rocket, passed away the 8th of this month at 71. And it was from cancer. And it's, as a Pokemon fan, hearing this was really upsetting, considering that I love, James from Team Rocket. He was one of the best characters, I think, in the anime, period. He was really funny. So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna put him with the rest of the stars that have shaped my childhood at some point or another. And it wouldn't be a Team Rocket tribute unless we do the most famous line James has ever said in the anime. Prepare for trouble and make it double. Rest in peace, James Carter. You have brought so much joy to children throughout the 2000s, and you will be missed, and Pokemon will never be the same without you. And to commemorate it, I made some Team Rocket banners to hang up. Because, again, when you think of James from Pokemon, you think of Team Rocket. When you think of James Carter, you think of James from Team Rocket. But that's not the only thing. My friend's cat passed away a couple months ago at this point, and I said I would, put him with the rest of the stars and everything in my grave on my main base, and I kept forgetting to, but cheers out to that finally. So rest in peace, little Elvis, because my bud, he, dresses up and he does imprompts for, old characters like that. And, he plays Elvis Presley sometimes. So we named his cat Little Elvis because he really didn't have a name for the cat. So I'm like, name it Little Elvis. And he liked that idea, so he was a rock star. He was indeed a rock star that will never be forgotten. And I know what it's like to lose a pet. So, cheers, little Elvis. You have inspired many, many musicians over the years to, be the best that you can be. We have this amazing music note banner. So, rest in peace, little Elvis, and rest in peace, James Carter. Both of you will be missed, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch this too, because I think paying tribute to characters, especially characters that have shaped, your childhood or made it somewhat better if you didn't have a good childhood, which a lot of voice actors have. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Well, hello there. It's been a while, hasn't it? I'm extremely inconsistent with these, aren't I? What's good, everyone? UmbreonMoonLight here. We're back in Asgard for another update video. And to start off today's update video, I want to thank each and every one of you that have been checking out the recent time-lapse shorts. We have hit over 1.5K on each and every one of them, and I cannot thank you guys enough for all the likes, the comments, the watch time that you have given the video. Fantastic. You people are beautiful, fabulous individuals, and I can't even begin to thank you enough. We're approaching 500 subs, which was my goal for last year and my goal for this year. So, before we get started with the video, if you could drop a like, please drop a like. It really helps the YouTube algorithm pick me up. If you like what I do here, leave a comment. You know, I like reading all your guys' comment. And no pressure, but if you want to help me hit my goal of 500 subs by the end of the year, please subscribe. You know, we're only 40 subs away from hitting that big 500, and then we can be monetized, and then we can really start to bring this channel to, you know, what it should be. And why does rain always interrupt me? And by the jump and the power invested in the god that I am on this planet and in this Minecraft map, I have made the rain disappear. But yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for all the support. It really means a lot. It motivates me to continue to bring my Forever World, you know, further and further as far as I can foreseeably push this 10-year-old map. But with that being said and all the promotions aside, let's get into all the changes, because there are a lot of changes while simultaneously not being a lot of changes, if that makes any sense. We're gonna start with, as you can probably already notice, the dock. You know, this dock looks freaking incredible so far, and it's only pieced together right now. I'm gonna throw up on screen right now what the docks looked like last live stream before we started this, and my god, that looks like puke. That looks generally like puke, and I'm glad we're starting to, you know, improve our dock area. This is gonna be great once we have the crane up, once we have ships, and in here, you know, we have the barracks for all the soldiers to be walking around, and we have the little, you know, Zen garden for the king. It's gonna be so much, and it's gonna make this area look so much better. Don't worry about this, we didn't finish this live stream. But yeah, no, this area already looks so much better than it did a stream ago. And it's crazy how much we can get done in a stream now. Really liking this, really liking the changes. As my moderator Rem would say, this is a chess monstrosity. And I will get to cleaning this, because this just seems to follow me wherever I go when I do massive builds. But that's the massive change around here. A lot's gonna continue to change in the future, so I will keep you guys updated with that. If you want to join me live and kind of chip in with, you know, if you want, like, we're gonna have, like, dogs on the deck and everything, you know, obviously, and horses. If you want to name, like, gods and everything, let me know. My comment on one of my subscribers, Gold, is already going to be over there, and he's going to be letting people in and out as a checkpoint guy. So, Gold is already going to be added in, so if anyone else wants to be added in, let me know. So, nothing gets changed over at the school. The school's pretty much stayed the same. I can't think of anything else to really do with this. I can say, though, that in the future, something behind the school is going to be done, but that's for a later video. Nothing has changed over at Long Farms. Not Long Farms, Romani Farms. Nothing has changed over here. Nothing has changed over at Long Ranch. Nothing has changed over here either at the, you know, kind of horse track stadium. Again, I think this is pretty much what this place is going to look like, minus the chests. I gotta remove those. Pretty much, I think this place is pretty much gonna stay the same for all of eternity. I can't think of anything else to add to it. If we come over to the base, nothing crucial, I think, has changed here. You know, just, again, sorting chests out. We did, at the beginning of the video, as you could see, we did the tribute to James Carter and my friend's cat that died. So, you know, we added that at the beginning, and if you guys, like, skipped over the beginning of the tribute, go back and watch it, you know. James Carter especially was, you know, the voice of James from Team Rocket, and again, he shaped my childhood. If you like Pokemon, he probably shaped your childhood as well. But, again, nothing else has really changed. If I can fly properly. One would think I would be able to fly at this point. So, nothing else has changed over here. Nothing has really changed at the cemetery either. I have huge plans for this spot in the future. We were talking about a couple months ago about how I wanted to move the church. So I finally decided that the church is going to go roughly in this spot. So look out for a Minecraft time lapse for that, because I think that's going to be a fun time lapse to make. This path has pretty much stayed the same. And town has changed a bit, though. As you can see, the church is completely, like, vanished. And you might be wondering, well, what happened to the church, you know, since you're going to be moving it over there? What's going to go in this spot? Well, every medieval, you know, town, as my map is based off of, it's like medieval fantasy with a touch of, you know, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Every medieval town has a hospital, clinic, whatever they called it back in the day. I'm pretty sure it's a clinic, but it might be a hospital too. You know, the place where the doctors go and you get like medieval medicine, like, you know, leeches and, you know, all that fun stuff. I figured, what's a better spot? And literally right in the center of town. It would make sense, especially because, you know, you're coming off of the ships, you know, you have cargo, you've been out at sea God knows how many days, you know, you could be sick, injured, have scurvy, who knows, right? So that's why I figured, put it where the church used to be. It's centrally located, it makes sense, you're right near the town hall, you're right near the, you know, inn, which a lot of travelers might be coming in injured. So they might, you know, come over here, get the treatment that they need, go over to the inn and buy a room for a night because, you know, they're injured and they need rest. And maybe not all the beds are filled up in the clinic right now. You know, it makes sense that you would have kind of this stuff centrally located. And then you have all your shops too. So, you know, you can hit your shops, your doctors, and go back to your hotel, kind of hotel inn. And it makes sense that, you know, medieval towns would be pushing all this stuff you can go do. You have, you know, the great ale over there, you know, for your drinking, if you need to stop in to town for any bounties or anything. Job bulletin board if you're doing that, you know, because the guild does allow outside contracts sometimes. So, you know, it makes sense to be centrally located here, and I found a really, really, really nice hospital design that will fit in this parameter, and trust me, it was not easy to find one to fit this plot of land. It is a very, very, very wide but thin piece of land. And it's very, very, it's an odd shape. And because it's an odd shape, it made it difficult to find one that wasn't gigantic. I found one though, and that's what's gonna be going here. That's, again, might be another time lapse. Or might end up being, you know, an actual live stream. I haven't decided yet. I'm really digging the time lapse for builds like this. So, we'll see how this goes. You know, vote down below if you guys would like to see me actually build it, or would you like to see a time lapse of it? Because I can't decide. Nothing else has really changed too much in town. I have been going around though and slowly starting to do the interiors, like with this house that I've been saying I was going to do the interior for since last year. So I finally got the interior done. You know, it's split up. It's kind of like a duplex, which I don't think in medieval times was really a thing. But it would make sense, you know, mother lives over here, child lives over there, child lives over here, mother lives over here, grandparents, you know, parents, you know, something like that. And it's cramped, But for a medieval house, this is really cozy and nice. You know, they have TVs and stuff. And I got to thinking that I said that we have TVs and stuff, right? For the town, but it's medieval fantasy. And I was talking to my moderator, Rem, about this. And she brought up a good point of why not make the TVs powered by redstone? Because it would make sense if you have electricity, but you're still using lanterns. You know, TVs would run off electricity. Why would you have that instead of hanging lanterns everywhere? The TVs are powered by redstone. And because redstone can't power, you know, they can only power redstone lamps, it's very primitive and it's not cost effective for the town to use that over cheaper lanterns. So a little bit of, you know, lore to that. I'm gonna say the Guildmaster figured out how to do, you know, the redstone TVs and stuff. And it really, really adds to the Minecraft feel of the town. Over here, all I did was raise the sign for Beth's Bakery up a block because I wanted the hanging signs. But when you came up, this was hanging too low. And I also figured out, if you put carpet underneath honey blocks, it dampens the sound and the squishiness that was driving me up a wall. So that was a nice discovery. If we come over here to Irene, however you pronounce that, I probably butchered that 6 ways to Sunday. Again, I just, you know, added the trapdoors. I think it looks nice. Move this from over here to over there because I think it looks better in the corner. Added some lanterns because it looks better. Added some pricing. You know, one piece of armor is 15 emeralds. So if you want it, you know, just a hat. If you want it an entire set that you can mix and match, it would cost you 35 emeralds, which is fair for leather armor. And the changing room's in here. You know, I think it looks pretty cool. But it's the actual up to the stairs that finally got changed. I cut the roof back up by a block, so you know, I noticed going up the stairs, you were kind of bonking your head, and it was too tight even for my standards. So both sides, it's just cut the roof back by a block. He finally has door, and if you walk in, it's a nice little, you know, upstairs to your shop. This is where the shopkeep would, you know, live, and it looks nice. You have huge window right here to let natural light in, and a huge window over your sink right here that, you know, you can look out into the town and spy on what your neighbor's doing with her business to see how you can drum up business for your clothing. And it looks nice. You have the lighthouse in the distance. You have, you know, you can see some ships, but not many. It looks nice, and then, you know, small windows dotted about. This one's blocked by a tree, unfortunately. But that's the nature of what we do. You know, you have your bed here. You have some storage over here. Again, not really much you can do with windows. You know, people could potentially, like, spy on you through this, but not really. I just think this looks cool. This looks really nice. It really makes Asgard start to feel lived in. If we come over here, this cat spawned, so it needs a name. Not to mention, this cat over here spawned. It also needs a name. And I'm getting overran by cats because of all the villagers on this section of the map. Please, God, send help. But anyways, a lot has changed at the dock itself, as you might have seen briefly. And if you've seen the time lapse, you already know. We got this nice ship finally. And I'm going to throw up on screen right now what the docks looked like a year ago. That looks gross, doesn't it? That looks really, really, really gross. Compared to what we have now, this looks so much nicer, and it fits in with the rest of the architecture around the, you know, town. So it makes sense. The only thing that really stands out is, you know, the mayor's or the guildmaster's house. I'm not sure which one this is, but, you know, that could be forgiven. It would be a little bit fancier than some of these other houses. It looks so much nicer. And as you also seen with the dock as well, we've added the barrels that we said we were going to. We added all of the lamps, which look really nice going down now, especially at night. And we recessed and pushed all the shops back and gave them all the same color, you know, header. So, you know, this is a shop. This is a wandering merchant shop. And it looks really nice back there. I had to change some of, you know, the gapping and the spacing and some of the roads around. But overall, everything's spaced nicely. Everything's spaced neatly. And it looks a hell of a lot better than what it did. And it's not just up here that we did all the barrels and stuff. Down below too actually looks like, you know, you have these ships docked. They're bringing cargo down and putting it places. It looks like it's lived in, and it's like that on the other side now too. Like, it looks lived in. You know, you can take a seat here if you want. You know, you could back up if you're a longer ship. You could get, you know, 2 going over here, 2 going over here, depending on what ship's here. Sadly, that one's only made for smaller ships, so, you know, you can only get one side, but this actively looks really, really nice. I have to agree. And even down below, you know, it took a while to get this last stream looking nice, but I like the way it turned out finally. We don't have that odd corner, and it looks like, you know, you're sitting on the steps. It looks kind of like, you know, a handrail in a way. And we did it over there too, so it matches. And just adding all of this really, really fleshes out down here. I would say down here, we started doing live streams with this, and it looks so much nicer. We have our cat down here, I believe Peppermint. Yes, so Peppermint's finally, you know, has its own, his or her own little thing. I ran these logs across because the wall looks like that, and it just looked too naked and bare for my liking. I might actually run it one more here, because I think that would make sense. But it looks a lot nicer now, and it looks full and complete, and I'm really happy we took time to do this. This looks really, really good now. So, all these changes have made this place look more lively. But that's not the only change, man. There's more to come. We're gonna head up to the guild because a lot has changed up at the guild. As you might have noticed, again, from the show, we have the guild bell now. Now, when I did the journey to Asgard, you know, kind of the backstory of my map and how the guild came to the town and how the chief died and everything, the bell rang to dismiss class at the end of that video. And my moderator, Rem, brought up a very, very good point. The guild didn't have a bell. So I built a bell. And I love the fact that I can, you know, find different excuses to use copper. Because I happen to like copper. I just can't find many uses for. And it'll never oxidize. It's waxed. And that gold trim around the block, it's just to tell me it's waxed. That's all that is. That's just to let me know it won't oxidize as part of the resource pack I'm using. But yeah, no, it looks really nice. I like it. It really adds to, like, the top of the guild. And it doesn't even look out of place. Like, if we were to come over here, kind of fly down here, and, you know, you're walking, you're new to town or something, you want to join the guild, you're just kind of exploring. Maybe you have a shipment for the guild or something. You come up. And look at that. It looks nice. You have the different roof lines. You have the Twin Peaks here. And then you have the bell. And the more you walk around, you start to see the tower over here, the tower over there, the Great Wall. This looks incredible, and I'm happy that I'm getting the guild to a completion state. It's not 100% complete. It's like 85% complete. We'll get there before the end of the year. I'm gonna bank on that. But it's not just the outside of the guild that's changed. If we fly up over here, we come along down here. I said anyone can join the guild, and my moderator, Rem, to be determined. Her team, she hasn't come up with a team name yet. The banner she wants to use, who she wants on her team. But this is Rem's team's room once it gets done. Now, I did come to see a flaw in down here at the fact that we only have like 3 guild rooms left. And that's not enough for second year advanced teams. I've come to realize that. So, in the future, again, probably a time lapse, I'm going to be knocking out this wall. And we're going to go to the free cam because I've allowed it to go through blocks. And we're going to have to bring it down because this wall is going to get in the way. But we're going to bring it down and we're going to expand it. We could probably fit another 6 to 10 rooms down here. So this is going to be a project. This is going to be a project because we got to make sure that we don't go too high, that we're colliding with the up above the grass. But we got to also make sure that we're not digging too far, that we're going to hit out here. You know, so. And we don't want, obviously, it to go too low either. So that's going to be the future. I think that really adds to that. And if I really wanted to, we have this space right here that we can also, if we go down a little bit, we can utilize and put a couple more rooms. I'm not too confident with this because of just how cramped this is. But, you know, again, this is also another thing that we could potentially do in the future. So that's why I said the guild's like 85% done. Because we still got so many rooms to add. But, with that being said, if you want to join the guild, I will be making a video on the requirements. I had a video up. I didn't like the way it was. I will be making a video or short, depending on what I want to explain in the video. And we will be going over exactly how to join the guild. It's either going to be me narrator or Rem narrating. Kind of in like a classroom setting. I'm going to lay out the rules and everything. So if you guys want to join when that video comes live, drop team names and stuff down below in this video. Or in Discord, we're going to have a section for it. So just watch out for that. There's going to be a lot coming in the future. That's not the only thing that's changed down here, though. For the longest time, we've had the, you know, rec room over here, and it's nice and stuff. And I was going to make the room next to it kind of another bedroom. Well, that's why I said we only had like 3 rooms left, because I turned this into a amazing kitchen. Now, most people that are joining the guild, minus, you know, the 2 13-year-olds that, you know, cheated the guild system and made the guild master reconsider, you know, how things are ran. Everyone's at least 16. So they are old enough to be able to, you know, cook and stuff on their own. So, nice little kitchen so you don't have to go all the way up to the, you know, kitchen in the guild itself. You know, say you wake up, you're hungry, you're thirsty, whatever it might be. It makes sense to have a kitchen down here, especially if we're going to be expanding that way and possibly this way. It makes sense to have a kitchen. And sometimes, you know, you're not always going to get money for doing guild jobs. It might be food, it might be armor, it might be a weapon, it might be just a random item of block that meant something to that person but doesn't really mean anything to you. So it's not always going to be money, and the main part of the guild anyways is to help out, you know, people. So you're not always going to get money. But if you get food or something, you're going to want a place to put it. And, you know, you're going to want a place to eat it if you wake up in the middle of the night, or if you want water, or if you just want to come here and just chill because you want to chill. And honestly, this is like the perfect size for a kitchen down here. So I'm not even mad about it. I can sacrifice a room and just... The reason why I like building underground is because you have infinite expansion underground. And I mean infinite expansion. With the guild up top, you can only fit so many advanced teams. Underneath here, though, You can dig out this entire area and put as many rooms as you want because it's underground within the limits of the map. This is why I build underground. This is why I like a lot of underground stuff. So yeah, nice little kitchen. You got your cabinets and whatnot. It looks nice. I might change this carpet out for, you know, heavyweight presser plates like I usually do. But I think this looks nice for a countertop for now. And again, the paintings all look really good too. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. Now, a lot has changed around the guild as well if we want to come up this way. Because for the longest time, I'm like, you know, Rem also brought up this point, which, you know, I love my moderator to pieces. She points out a lot of, you know, inconsistencies to my map that wouldn't make sense, and it has only made the map better for itself. So she pointed out to me a while ago that the guild, you would want to loot this guild. It has advanced teams in it. It has, the guild master has stuff that, you know, no one else would normally have. Like the Dragon Slayer banner pattern. One of a kind. One of a kind. Only a handful was made in existence. My character owns one, and the guild master owns one, and that's it. And, well, probably, yeah, the king would probably own one too, come to think of it in the story. So, you know, the Dragon Slayer banner pattern is rare. Anyone can make one, sure, but it's not the original. It's not coming from the chief that, you know, lived on this land before Herobrine came and killed him. And it makes sense that, you know, someone would want to loot it for the original, because that would go for a lot of money. Not to mention dragon heads, mob heads, diamonds, emeralds. You name it, this guild has it. So, I was missing something very crucial. A guard station! I was missing a way to protect this section of the map. So, I finally told myself I was going to do this one day, and this is the end result. So, as you've seen, I'm using more of those cinematics. Such a cool thing. I'm telling you, I love doing cinematics like The Legend of Zelda. But this is the guild station. This is everything. We have our guard station. We have our guard house, which, you know, you would be rotating who would be on shift for the guard station. So we're gonna start over at the actual guard station itself. So you come down here, basic guard house, you know. If anyone's in here, let's see, we have what, 1, 2, 3 separate beds that you can be sleeping in. So it would probably be 2 people sleeping, 3 people outside. They would rotate, you know. Or maybe it would be 3 and 3. 6 on at a night, 3, you know, sleeps half the shift. The other half stays up and they rotate. You have a nice little table outside to kind of sit and chit chat. You know, you can see the Island of Creation, Tower of Creation. You can watch the sea. You have a pretty decent view of Asgard all the way around here. And again, without like the stone brick being here, you can barely see over. And I think it adds being that half a slab up. And if we come to the opposite side, this is a flight control platform that I built for Elytra flights back before rockets that I have in a couple spots. And I just repurposed it, honestly. It makes sense for me to repurpose stuff. This actually looks pretty good, getting rid of the, you know, the kind of jump off points. and, you know, walling everything off, but you get a pretty decent view. Like, you have archers, you can see out to sea. You can see if anyone's, like, trying to climb up this way to get into the guild through, you know, the guild masters and the guild's, you know, kind of balcony area, a hangout spot. I don't really know what we would call this yet. You know, you can see in the back to see if anyone's scaling over the mountain. No, there would be probably guards over here. I would assume anyways there would be guards over there. Guard over here. You know, you can see if anyone's up on the roof trying to break through the glass there. Let's see. I believe... yeah, these are some of the advanced teams. They might be trying to, you know, scale the wall to get there. I believe this is the Guildmaster's room. Let's see, is that the dining? Yeah, that's the dining area. So this would be the Guildmaster's, you know, private quarters and the Vice Chief's private quarters. So Don and, you know, Gabe would be there, and people are gonna want to break in. Maybe, you know, assassinate someone. Who knows? But, you know, you have guards now that can protect it. And this is probably going to go over by the castle, too, because it makes sense. And if you got to drop down quickly, you can. Like, if you got to drop down, you could drop down very quickly. I might end up putting a slime block right there, right here, so, you know, you can break your fall. It would make sense. And, over here, I just basically ran these plants going all the way down the bridge to the island of creation. It looks really, really, really nice. These look like either, you know, apples are growing on it, berries are growing on these, maybe the cherry blossoms in bloom. The azalea bushes look really nice. Really, really nice. And again, between this, the strip, the normal dark oak, and then all this greenery, all the lanterns and everything, this looks really, really nice on the inside. Now it just doesn't look like a footbridge. And obviously, you know, I fiddled with this a bit. Ran a wall. I originally, like, ran a wall along here in a test map and connected it to, like, about here or so. And it was just one giant wall. It didn't look right. It didn't look like right. Why would you cover up the entirety of the mountainside instead of just building into the mountainside? So I came up with this idea, and this idea looks a lot better. And it's on this side as well. I have it running all the way around to this point of the map. And again, this would be super hard to scale for a normal person. So good luck trying to, you know, scale it. I mean, you could theoretically, like, run around this way and try to scale it. But by normal means, like, you can't climb up here and then, you know, jump over the fence. You just can't. That's why I have the fencing and the, you know, slabs and everything in place. And, like, over here, you really even can't get up here. Like, can't even get up here. Like, you could do some kind of tricky parkour stuff. But without an elytra, you're not getting, like, over there. So, I felt like that really, like, added. It really, really just added to the base. And it looks really, really nice. And I really like this, man. I so much like that I took time and did this. Because beforehand, this was just here. It didn't look bad, but it didn't look good. And I like that I utilized the cliff face. But that's not the final change. The final change is, oh my god. So the final change is, I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. Now, for the longest time, there used to be a doorway here, and you would need, you know, if you come over to my backpack, you would need the button, and that was Asgard's master key. You would press it, you know, so on and so forth. I got tired of doing that. So, I dabbled with redstone. And if you know me, I don't do redstone. I'm not mumbo jumbo. I'm not Grin. You know, I'm not any of those guys. I don't know redstone. But I fiddled with it for a bit, and I came up with a redstone doorway. Now, if you come up to the new doorway, from the outside looking in, It doesn't look like you can get through these doorways. Even if you hopped over here, you'd be like, how the hell do you get over here? Well, if you come over here and you take the guild master key, right? You take these 8 amethyst shards and you put them in this hopper. They open up these doorways for 8 seconds. And then you can take your keys. Now, you might be asking, how did I do this? That's all the redstone. You have 2 compactors into repeaters. They run down. You have redstone repeater going into this doorway and one going in this doorway. None of these are on delay. So you could make it longer, you could make it shorter. I made basically a bud switch, is what they call in the redstone community. Both sides. And it works on both sides. So if you put it in this one, doorway opens back up. And you can grab it again. And the nice part is you have enough time to shut that. And because these strap doorways are running all the way down the wall, it looks like decoration. It doesn't look like anything would be here. People use trapdoors for, you know, crown molding all the time. All the time they use that. So, to the untrained eye of Minecraft, you wouldn't know how to get through here. To an actual, you know, redstone expert and stuff, they might be able to get through here. But this makes it so that if someone gets up here, they can't just, you know, use the pressure plates that were here and come barreling through the guild. That was not safe. I don't know what I was thinking with that. I like this design a whole lot better, and I like the fact that I learned how to use redstone a bit. But that's not the only change. As you see in one of the first shorts I uploaded, if we come over here, I've done something similar. But this time, this is a one-way. So, that's the barrel. We have the same kind of general idea. We come through. It closes. And then pressure plates to let us back out. And like I said, I wanted to add like kind of a secret passageway to get to the guild master's, you know, boat. And this is what I came up with. This way, let's say, you know, hypothetically, I don't know, Asgard's under attack or something, the guild master knows he has to get some vital information to somewhere else. He comes, you know, he does all that with that doorway. He comes running through. He's being chased. You know, they can't figure out, you know, how he got in here. He does this. He runs through. Doorway closes. They break through the doorway. They're confused of where the guild master is. Now, yes, they could, you know, happen to find the key and then open them themselves. But by that point, guild master jumps down here. Runs through the hallway, which I have, you know, finally furnished. Comes to his hidden dock area, which, again, I have furnished. Watch that time lapse. It's really cool to see this come together. Come over here. Pull up both his doorways. Hop in. Take off. But you might be asking, there's a gravel wall in the way. How is he gonna barrel through that? No. So, I'm gonna come over here and line my character up right here, because I figured out with free cam, you can break stuff at the same time. Now, by breaking this sign, the wall comes tumbling down! The wall comes tumbling down. A gravel wall held up by signs comes tumbling down. Okay, game, cool. Click out of Minecraft. But yeah, so the wall comes tumbling down. And then, you know, Guildmaster would be starting and everything. Vice Chief would come, raise it, they would hop in. And they would take off. And then you could put the wall back up. That's a beautiful thing about this. If we come collect all these shines, all the signs, and then we break all this gravel, the channels are perfectly laid. Perfectly laid. So what you do is you come over here. You come down this way. You put the signs back up. And this is kind of annoying. Kind of not annoying. It's annoying in the sense that you're dealing with floating water. You know. Come on. There we go. So, you know, trouble's done. Guildmaster comes back. You know, they hop in the water. They get all this done. Now, unfortunately, when those signs are up, if you fall in this hole, you're kind of trapped without an Elytra, as you can see. So we'll give this a minute. Luckily, I have an Elytra, so... And then all you simply do is boom. And you can put the wall back up. It's literally that simple of a design. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can build this contraption I came up with. And I didn't, like, I usually get, like, inspiration from YouTube or, like, from Google or something for my Minecraft builds, right? Most of this redstone and stuff that I have showed off, I have come up with. It's primitive as all hell, right? It's very, very primitive. But the simple fact that I don't know anything about redstone, and I just use Minecraft's physics to do stuff like this. Anyone can do stuff like this. And again, this area just looks really nice. It's fancy without needing it to be, you know, super fancy. And again, that's an infinite wall. And I have gone ahead and put the gravel like I said I was going to. So it doesn't look, if we turn the shaders off for a minute, it doesn't look out of place. Gravel, you know, more gravel. Wall of gravel. You know, now it doesn't look so much out of place compared to, you know, what it did previously when this was all stone and stuff, because we got different stuff mixed in. But yeah, guys, with that being said, I am super, super, super happy with how all this turned out. And I had a lot of fun doing the time lapses and everything. So let me know, please, if you like the time lapses, and I will continue to do more of them, especially for smaller stuff like this. Because this was a lot of fun to make. If you have any ideas on how I can improve my redstone design in a compact space, please let me know. But with that being all said, guys, that's all the major changes in Asgard that has happened. And we're going to fly up to the Tower of Creation because I want to get a sweeping shot of Asgard. To end this video, we're going to crank our render distance up. 75 chunks, because why not? Let it load in for a minute. And here's Asgard loading in. Look at how big this is. It's crazy that all of this, I've spent 10 years building all of this, and we just keep improving it as time goes on. And I love all the changes we have done to Asgard, and I'm looking forward to all the changes that might come in the future. And again, thank you guys all for the support. It what drives me to want to do better with this map. Anyways, that's it for all the major changes. I've been UmbreonMoonlight. I am going to be signing out for now. Thank you all for watching, and join me as we continue to make Asgard a pretty place. I will catch you all in the next video, and hope you all have a great day.